Hey everyone, I'm Matt Williams, the host of the Drone Business Show, and it's a pleasure to have you here listening to us today, filling your ears with droney goodness. Today we've got, again, another very special guest joining us. We've got Oli Dickinson from Different View, differentview.co.uk. If you want to go and check his website out, please do, but not before you've listened to what he's got to say and the journey that he's been on. So Oli, thank you for joining us, mate. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's it. It's nice. It's been fascinating, actually, the journey that we've been on, going on all these journeys, actually, learning about what it's looked like for all of these different people, and the feedback's been incredible, actually. So if if you are listening to this on Spotify, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go and check out the guests that we've got coming on, because it is a lot of time and ultimately, I suppose, money for them to put time out of their diaries to come on. But the messaging that we're getting and the feedback that's coming from the audience is incredible, because people find it really helpful and really interesting learning. And that's the whole point of it, right? Learning 5 years, maybe 10 years in some cases ahead of them. So that's what it's all about, mate. So for yourselves then, again, looking at your website, like some of the stuff you shot, some of the things you've done, your Williams F1 and the autonomous boats and the underwater stuff. It's like, what are you up to? So please, just if you could let everyone know a bit more about your business, and then we'll go back on the journey that's got you to where you are now.
Yeah. So as Matt mentioned, I run a company called Different View, and we really specialize not just in drone, but also ground content and some CGI as well. And a lot of our work is in the maritime sector. Not just that sector, but the large proportion being in Plymouth and being near the sea. And we've kind of specialised in flying in multiple different conditions and off different types of boats, and trying to get a close up and cool shots that doing this for 5-6 years has enabled me to do. So I tried to bring, without sounding corny, a bit of a different view to other to other things, which sometimes what drone does, sometimes what the ground stuff does, sometimes what the CGI does. So that's in a nutshell.
Interesting. I like what you did there. That was nicely done. Just dropping it in like
Yeah.
everywhere. Okay, cool. So interesting then. So you've got the drone piece, you do ground stuff as well, which is something that we we often say to people that because these things are very complementary, that the drone, in some cases, particularly if you're in the media space, which is, I think, primarily where you guys, it would be fair to say, sit, not in kind of the industrial and inspection and all that side of things. It's in the media space. When you're in that side of the industry, having these complementary, I suppose, offers, but complementary skills are really helpful, because there's a lot of bleed over, right? If you're good at photography, then quite often it follows that you can be much better suited to doing the drone piece and delivering good looking stuff, right?
Absolutely, and that's why I've kind of concentrated in staying into one sector, really, which is, like, as you say, the content, media, advertising. We do also supply BBC with live drone stuff as well. So it's kind of all that side of things, and it all stems from, which I'll explain later, is a concrete understanding of photography, which is what I studied before getting into the drone business. So that helps with composition and other elements that complement a really good, hopefully a really good final product.
Yeah, that's it. Fingers crossed, eh? Well, you're
Yeah,
obviously,
quite.
I mean, looking at the website and the output that you guys are generating, it is high end, right? It's very impressive. It all looks incredible, and I've just seen a little bit. I've got it on the side here as well. The little bit where the CGI blends into some actual footage. And you're like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty special. That.
and that works really well, especially with boats that aren't out on the water yet, and you want to show them simulated in an environment. That's what that brings. That side of things is really strong for that. So yeah, really pleased to have the network where we can get artists in to do that.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. So, if you wouldn't mind, then just taking us back, you said you had a background, by the sounds of it, in photography.
Mm.
Was that a kind of professional qualification, or is it a thing that's been learned over many years, or like how did you get from there into the drone space?
Right, well, viewers, get a cup of tea, because this is one hell of a journey.
Love it. Love it. Let's go.
It all goes back to when I was at university. I studied sports science because sport was a very much part of my upbringing. And well, at uni, I met some guys from the art department, and a couple of them were photographers. Now, Aberystwyth, I don't know if anyone's been, but it's quite a unique town. It's got the sea, and it's got like countryside and lakes that could rival the Lake District. Some of them. So, hanging out with some of these photographers, they showed me things that I never knew a camera could do. Not just in showing me tips on composition, but also the three pillars, as they're called, of photography, and how they all interact and what you can actually bring out of a camera was really inspiring. So after uni, I wanted to become a primary teacher, and during
Nice.
my during well, when I wasn't doing lots of paperwork and stuff on half terms or what have you, I went on a few courses for photography and just really got into it as a sort of amateur hobbyist, really. And spent a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years doing that, and that kind of and with that and traveling kind of got me into different situations where I had to practice, and it's all about trying to get a good bedrock. Um, and then in about 2019, when I started Different View, that year was a very dormant year. I was still teaching full time, and I would just try and do jobs for different for friends or family, and just try to get some experience with the drone. Um, Found out that the Mavic 2 was coming out, and yeah, and enjoyed the Mavic 2. Incredible early drone, and from that, about a year later, COVID hit. So just before COVID hit, I wanted to invest and just to see if I could really push this career. So I wanted to invest in a production. What in my head was a production level drone, the Inspire 2. Now, most viewers will know that that thing costs probably new. You're looking 8 grand upwards. Didn't have that much savings, so I went for a second hand, really well looked after one. And the guy who sold me it for around about 3 4 grand, I think it was, he said, "Look, I'm moving away from Plymouth. I would more than happy to put you in contact with a production company in Plymouth that might give you a few jobs." So anyway, COVID hits. We were all locked down for 3 months, whatever, however long it was. I just did a little bit of business, joined a business network. I think it was just to keep me sane, online networking. And anyway, around about September time, I get this call from this production company, and they said there's this boat that's coming to Plymouth, and it's quite a special boat. It's going to be autonomous, and it's going to try to cross the Atlantic and take after the Mayflower. And it was called the Mayflower Autonomous Ship. And so he said, "There's 4 days. Do you fancy coming along and giving us some drone footage?" So obviously I said yes.
Yeah.
Um, so I had, yeah, 4 days. I think the first day it arrived, a couple of days of it on shore, just filming, what have you. And then the fourth day it was a big parade. It was actually a national news event where they were it was a naming ceremony, so they had people like the American ambassador down, I think a few MPs, all the rest of it, all the bells and whistles. And I was tasked with flying off the back of a tugboat and filming it as it was being paraded up and down um, the sound in Plymouth, if anyone knows it. And like I didn't know at the time, but like lots of these events, they tend to be standing around for a fair bit. And I had this big Inspire on the back of this tug, and these guys were just looking at it, and it looks quite impressive. And so they were just asking questions about it. I tried to get answers, and it was still fairly new to me, but I tried to get some credible answers towards that. And anyway, at the end of the day, one of them asked for my business card randomly, and I thought nothing of it. I thought, well, that was a cool first gig, that's not bad. Anyway, so 6 weeks went past, and I got this email, and it was from the creative, I think it was the European head of content for IBM, and I got this email saying we want to give you a 4-day contract to start filming this docu-series about the Mayflower. And like 90% of me was like, you gotta do it. I know going into your first ever client being a blue chip company that you just gotta put out your head and try to get a team together and just give it a go. So I did, and met some incredible people. Got Alex from Maritime Filming, and a few other really good people. Assembled a good team, and for the next 2 years, I was not just filming that, but meeting people from the BBC and other people, other news organisations that came in to talk about or to talk about this boat to the world. And yeah, it was just 2 years of meeting random media companies and people of that, and the end result was something like 230 million people have seen it apparently. That's been on IBM. So yeah, it's kind of long story short, that was my journey into the job.
Crikey, that's mega. And thank you for sharing that, first of all. It's really interesting because it's obviously kind of happened in what seems like quite a short space of time in the grand scheme of things. But it's one of those, right, where for me, you speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, oh, there's been an overnight success. But what people don't see is that there is 5, 10, 15, 20 or more years worth of um, background experience and knowledge and practice, and putting that into practice that turns kind of your art and craft into a saleable product, right? And that's not to say that it isn't impossible to get into the industry and start to make waves, right? No pun intended.
No.
Watching videos of boats on the computer, and you can't come in and actually bring some skills. And that's why we say, like, lean into your superpower if you have one, whether that's your network or sales, whatever it might be, and explore that. But obviously, you having this kind of artistic interest from
Yeah.
years past and then developing that photography and flexing that muscle over the years, I guess meant that you were then well placed when a blue chip was your first client, your first big client, and came along and asked for some help, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. So yeah, the bedrock of photography really did help, because that's crucial if you're going to this side of things. But also the teaching element. Actually, I don't give as much credit as I should, because the one thing you do learn as a teacher is to always reflect and to think about what you do well, what you're not doing so well, what you can improve for next time, and the communication side of that, and forming, a team that can help push you to, produce things that you didn't quite think you could produce by yourself. So yeah, it's there's those two elements are really crucial.
Yeah, and that's it. It's really, really interesting, and yeah, a really reflective reflection, right? A really good introspective view on how to improve. So a good little takeaway for people to who are listening to grab from that. The One of the big questions I suppose I tend to try and get out of people is, how do you what have you found is the best way of generating leads? And you might have a way of doing that, but for you it sounds as though almost, you kind of, in a way, you might look at it and say, well, you fell. It's all right for Ollie because he fell into buying this drone from the right person who passed him onto a production company, and that led to the first job. But again, this is something that, even if you don't have those connections, even if you're not in that position, I say it all the time. Every single coaching call I have for people who are looking to start out or getting up and running is just get out there and practice, get out there and do it. And if
Exactly.
you hadn't started doing that, if you hadn't said yes to that first job, even though you perhaps didn't feel comfortable doing it, you wouldn't have given your business card out to someone. That wouldn't have led to someone else, led to someone else, led to someone else. You've just got to get yourself out there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the crucial thing is, so like I said earlier on, I started this. I mean, I started this on Company's House, Different View, in January 2019, and I spent a year, um, absolutely zero money coming in from it. It was all teaching, but the money. But the drone side, it gave me a year at least, and before that with the photography, but certainly with the drone. And I would always sort of test myself and see, what would this, if someone wanted a slightly different angle, how would you portray it to them? If someone wanted, would this shot be acceptable? Does it match some of the best shots you've seen on YouTube or from other people of the same in the same industry, and just trying to push yourself. And that first year, I mean, still lots to learn now, but that first year really just gave me the opportunity just to hone my skills, so I was at a level where when this IBM chance came up, as lucky as I was to get it, I was there and I was able to assemble a team and also deliver to keep extending that contract, which is what happened over the 2 years. It was like, it's kept getting extended. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah.
One of the you've mentioned it a few times now, actually, like assembling a team. And I think for me, there's two elements. Kind of having chatted to you previously about this briefly, and looking on the website and stuff. There's two elements to it for me. The first one is how have you built your team? And if you wouldn't mind, just let us know what your team looks like, and how it's structured, how that works, and how you went from potentially just you and a drone to building that team out.
Yeah. Well, the teams I'm talking about really. So going back to the IBM stuff, I was able to, through Facebook and things, and through I think it was like social media. The first person I found was Alex Anderson from Maritime Filming, and I wanted to get him on board, and because he's a really nice guy and he's unreal at what he does. And also I was lucky to know a couple of cameramen that I'd just known through other parties. Again, just through network, I suppose, if you like to call it that, at that point. And well, this is where the story continues really in terms of the team, because November 2022, things were a bit quiet. It was winter time. I was just debating whether to go back to do a little bit of supply teaching to keep things ticking over. And I needed a reference because I'd been out of teaching for a couple of years. And so I emailed Brett, um, who's the director of M Subs, who created the Mayflower. And so I spent 2 years filming Brett, and I got to know him. And I said, look, do you mind being a reference so I can just go do some supply work? And he said, I'm more than happy to give you a reference, but I don't want you doing that. What I would like you to do is do what you do best, what I've seen over the last 2 years. And so I'd like to give you a retainer. And so he brought me on a retainer. I know, game changer, honestly.
I'm fist pumping the air if people aren't watching. Yes.
Well, I was doing that. It was a Sunday night, and he was saying, you name what retainer you'd like. And so I came up with a figure on the top of my head, almost. And so now for the last 3 years, it's been going on for, he's put me in contact with other people, one of who I work quite closely with. He's a cinematographer. And another couple of people. In fact, that's the first time I met the guy who did our CGI. So it's kind of like meeting people through other opportunities, I suppose. I'm building up who you can trust and you've got to trust people at least to begin. You got to show trust. So giving out white labels, and then you can see who's able to be reliable for future opportunities. So it's not necessarily through staff as such. It's just through good collaboration, I suppose. And if someone gives you an opportunity, you want to give it back. So
Yeah. Again, it's such a strong theme. Before we go on to that, Brett, if you are listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube, Ollie definitely didn't just pluck that figure out of the air. It was very considered, and the retainer fee is exactly what he was giving you great value on the offer that he was giving.
He's been an absolute godsend. Right, the figure was considered, but it was quite a thing to have to sit down and think about. But it's one opportunity.
That's it. No, absolutely. It's yeah. So, and here's a big one, right? And this is a running theme, and it's really interesting that you've brought this up, because this is again one of those themes that I have been pushing for years and years and years to people. Like the worst thing you can do in this industry in particular, and it's the same in many industries, but in this industry in particular, because regardless of what vertical, what place within the industry you sit within, you are almost always relying on other people to help you, or to deliver, or to, if you're in the industrial and surveying and inspection side of things, you're looking for potentially someone else to qualify the data. You're looking for someone else to analyze the data. You're looking for someone else to deliver that data. For you, it might be needing to collaborate with other people to edit or to do sound design, or to actually be a director of photography or whatever it might be for bigger pieces. It's very much a team effort, and unless you've been in the production space, I don't think you can quite understand that actually. Like when you watch a big movie or a commercial on television, or you watch even a drama or whatever it might be, it's one team of people, but actually in fact, I'm going to go out there and say it every single time. It's lots of different companies delivering lots of different pieces that they specialize in to work together. So that collaboration piece is so big. It's such an integral part of mastering this journey.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at end credits for any decent production. You see how long the list of people required, and yeah, and yeah, as you say, we are in a tight knit community really in the drone side of things, and yeah, it's really important to yeah to open yourself up and it's an interesting space really, because just like any industry, on one hand, in theory you're in competition, but on the other hand you're on collaboration. So it's all about playing with those scales, and when knowing when to you know you collaborate and build teams and get people in, or when to go for projects yourself, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And like you said, I suppose as well, that piece where, because you've collaborated with other people, when they get work in, and potentially white label for you, but when they get work in that they can't do, or that they need a specialist in what you provide, they then also white label you in. So actually, this whole fighting against each other for all of this work just isn't the place to be. I
Oh,
don't
no,
think.
no, 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 no. That's it's kind of what I was trying to suggest. Really, it is all about just working together, really. Because the thing is, I always say to people, there is actually a lot of work out, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. It's just like you said right at the beginning. It's just getting out there and not being afraid to try different things, to speak to different people, to and going back to the IBM thing, just taking any opportunity, whether how big or small it is, and you never know where things lead.
Yeah. Where if there was like one way or one place, because it's like, oh, people listening who are 3 to 5 years behind, right, might be like, oh yeah, well, it's all well and good you guys saying you need to collaborate, but how do I find people to collaborate with? Well, what do I do? Where are they? Is there a way or a process or a place that you go to do that, or how has that worked for you over the years?
Yeah, so I think way back in maybe 2019, or whenever it was, I joined a few. It went as simple as joining a couple of groups on Facebook. There was a drone, the commercial drone network. I can't remember what they're called. It's called now, and just seeing feeds of there, seeing what people were doing, reaching out to people on there, asking advice on there. Certainly, I still ask for advice now, but at the beginning, it might just be what um, I might not think twice about now, but back then it was really, how do I jump from a full-time teaching job into a full-time drone job? There's no obvious bridge. It's just a case of trying multiple paths, and trying to get yourself. Yeah, it's so is that really, and everyone's really friendly. Certainly, all the pilots I've met, I've not met anyone who you wouldn't want to work with. Yeah, I think everyone pulls each other up. I think we all kind of try to try to produce the best we can, and we've got people to try and have that benchmark against. So you're just kind of
Yeah,
pushing. Yeah,
that's it. I think sticking with the nautical theme, a rising tide raises all boats, right?
I,
It's
yeah, it's perfect, perfect. Yeah,
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 that's it. Gosh, you can tell I've spent many years of my life coaching people, right? It's
yeah.
sad when those things roll off your tongue, but yeah, I think that's it. And as you say, people are friendly in general. And one of the big things with this industry that I've noticed is that the collaboration is, when people accept the idea that that is the way to do it, it comes easy actually, because we've all got something fundamentally in common. Because we are all, for whatever reason, drawn to the aviation element, the drone element, the tech element, and then depending on what vertical you're in, we're into the data analytics or I don't know why I did that in a weird data-y kind of voice. We're all into the data analytics, or we want to make amazing productions that people, get emotion from, or that they can sell from, or whatever it might be. So I think that's
Mhm.
really important as well. It's really interesting in that side of things.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I can agree more. Yeah,
Do
yeah, and yeah, yeah, I had something in the back of my head I was going to say then, but yeah, it's. I mean, there are, yeah, exactly that. I, it's
it,
oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, just trying.
that's
My
okay.
mind was going a million miles
I was
out.
gonna say it'll come back to you as soon as we get off the recording.
Yeah, they're all good. I was also going to say the other thing is there's a lot of support out there. There's also a lot of the people who are willing to give feedback, and feedback is crucial because feedback is sometimes, you could be really proud of something, and this has happened to me multiple occasions where you're really proud of something, you put it on Facebook and you say, "What do you guys think?" And you might well get feedback which is suggesting this is what you might want to think for next time to maybe improve it. So real constructive feedback of call it, and it's not, and it's something that you shouldn't really take. I mean, I've done it where you sit in the room and you think, oh, damn, well, I thought I thought I had a great video then, but it is a case of also understanding that feedback's a really useful thing to get if you want to put it out there. Yeah.
It's interesting, right? So I ran a YouTube channel a number of years ago about drone regulations and things like that, and I'm someone who, like, I grew up in an aviation environment. So, flying instructor in the Air Force, did all of the frontline flying and things like that. And you grow up then, and live and thrive, hopefully, in an environment where you are always being criticised. And actually, you're taught, one of the first things you're taught in flying training is how to not just take feedback and criticism constructively. It's actually how to analyze and criticize yourself, and make it so that you always want to do better, but you accept at the same time that you can't do everything perfectly every single time. But it is one of those things. Going back to the YouTube channel, I really struggled with, because I did the YouTube channel, put my heart and soul into a lot of the videos, albeit they were all kind of made up on the spot around a theme and a main question, and I would talk about it, and then you get all of these haters in the comments giving you all of this constructive feedback,
Yeah.
and it was really difficult a lot of the time to deal with. But actually, looking back at it, and I would never change the way that I fundamentally kind of do things, or my opinions and thoughts based on what other people would say, because those are my own. That is my integrity that takes me in that direction. But actually, starting the YouTube channel this time round, starting the podcast and things like that, I actually reflected back on, right, what were the main things that people used to say, right?
Yeah.
And there were kind of, I suppose, two main things that people used to complain about, or give me constructive feedback on with the things I did. One is that I very much talk with my hands, right? I'm a stage speaker. I did the public speaking circuit for a long time. I talk with my hands, and body language is a big piece behind delivering that. But a lot of people found that distracting on YouTube, and I became known as the wavy hand man. I'm like, I'm never changing this. So actually, this time round, what I've done, I've changed, and I really struggle, right? I've literally like taped my hands down before to try and stop myself. I really struggle with that side of things. And I struggle to talk naturally and openly if I can't move my hands around. But now, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, like, I've changed the way that we shoot now so that my hands are out of shot, so I can wave them around as much as I want, and people can't really see that. And that's one piece where it's like, okay, cool, I've actually listened to that and gone moving forwards with it. And the other one is that people used to say that the first kind of minute and 45 seconds of all of our videos were like kind of not selling, because we never did any selling, but it was kind of talking about what the video was going to be about, and it took ages for us to get into videos, and that just isn't the way to do it. So now it's like short and fast, a hook at the start, straight into it, and I try not to wave my arms around as much. And yeah, it's like you say, it's tough to take on board sometimes, but actually, if you can and you do, I think we can all be better for it, right?
That's a great way to look at it. I mean, to filter it out is really important. I mean, certainly if it's a popular group, or if, like say your YouTube channel, who are the main subscribers, it would have been a case of looking through 50 comments and seeing if there's a thread that goes through any of them, which is what you said. Some people some people might do it maliciously on there, but it's kind of you try to make it water for ducks back, but that's a lot easier than said than done sometimes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely. I think, and that's really important, right? Like filter out the superfluous feedback, but really do try and listen to the people who are genuinely trying to be helpful with that side of things.
absolutely, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned one other thing as well earlier about YouTube, and you said that you kind of use YouTube for learning and things like that. And I think that segues quite nicely into this constructive feedback piece, um, because I think if people take that constructive feedback, and I'm not sure if this is something that you've done, but it's something that I've done and try kind of do regularly. Looking at your work, it's very high end, right? It's professional
Yeah.
standard. Um, and I don't know whether this is something that you found, but for me, if people are listening and they're like, right, how do I start producing that? The best way is to go and practice, and the best way is, to learn and go and practice deliberately.
Yeah,
Um, and I
yeah.
think it's the same with YouTube. If you're watching YouTube and listening to things, don't just watch and listen to it passively. Go and look at Ollie's channel. Go and look at your show reel, if you like, on the front page,
Mm,
and try and copy those shots. Try and go, right, why does that work?
mm.
I don't know if you found that as well. Is that a technique that you've used
Oh,
over the years?
yeah, massively. Yeah, it's been hugely important. Like I said at the beginning, it's first started with finding some work that I really liked online. Before this IBM stuff that year, that I had to really try to practice and didn't put any pressure on myself. It's like you say, see what shots work. And if and just building that confidence, just understanding that, give yourself time. So the worst thing to do is to try and do these on a job when you've got um you got a contract on the line, or you've got to deliver certain deliverables, or a shot list that it's not the time to try it there. So do it when you've got no pressure on yourself. And what you're saying about following other people's, like, for the last 2 years, I'd say I've really got into first person view, and the likes of Jamie FPV, who was on your show, and Unreal Pilot, and the guys at Bad Wolf Horizon, Tom. In fact, I worked with Tom once. We did a immersive 360-degree tour for Plymouth City Council, and he was unreal. He's unbelievable pilot skills, and learning things from for FPV from people like Joshua Bardwell, or people like that, learning how to build and almost starting over again, because it's a completely different discipline. And so having that kind of tool, it was um, game changing for me. Yeah, and try, yeah, just seeing what they were doing. Not that I could emulate that, certainly not at the moment, but you know, just trying to again build the foundations of a solid base. So hopefully in FPV, you can build your tower, if you like, and start to compete for more trickier work. And that's worked really well over the last couple of years. And I mean, without going on too much about it, like time in taking time out in the simulator and things like that, and learning, putting many hours into there, and then practicing in places where the worst that's going to happen is you might lose a quad. Um, and then I've done more commercial things with it, for like flying off boats with it recently, but that was the bedrock to do that, and the bedrock to be able to land on a boat with an FPV was all built from, again, starting again, and see what you wanted to get to learn and to get into. um yeah, and building and programming them, it was all about trying to understand it as best I could, from a machine point of view, and trying to bring that into making the best video, the best tool to deliver a certain um, composition, or certain dynamic that I couldn't do with a standard DJI one. It was
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So is that something that you've actually started to bring into what you do? And when you do it, are you finding that it's yourself that's now able to do that because you've done the practice and put that time in? Or do you generally, if you are bringing that into the productions that you create, are you collaborating again and bringing in kind of professional FPV pilots, if you like, to deliver that?
So for the the last year and a half, I've been put myself in a position where I've been able to do it myself. I've been confident enough. I started with a 7-inch, which was quite like a nice gliding tool, and um, and I've had some amazing opportunities via other companies. Again, collaboration. One was flying off a massive container ship in the middle of the Mediterranean, and again the like throttle control and things like that. That was just solely down to the hours and hours and hours of practice in order to do that safely. I think that it was filming it was fueling a naval ship, and so again, it was kind of you had the safety thing. That was from Mike at Solar Sky Services, yeah, it was. So from that side, then we went out and we've been doing other bits on yachts out at sea and trying to use that for a dynamic of keeping up with a quick boat and stuff like that, and fly throughs. The same. It's again, I don't hire it out necessarily unless I need a heavy lift. I don't have a heavy lift yet. I mean, I'll certainly hire that out. But the likes of Jamie, I forgot the second name, sorry, but it's Jamie from Jamie FPV and
Yeah,
Tom.
James Singleton.
Yes, Jamie Singleton, that's it.
Yeah.
And the guys at Bad Wolf and so on and so forth. I mean, yeah, so some of the stuff that they do, I know I wouldn't touch. But I'm making my own story in that. But I'm prepared to take time. I know it's going to be, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think when you've got people who are specialists in that kind of thing, actually, it's quite difficult to almost justify the um, kind of stepping outside of what you're able to deliver very well every time, and maybe try and focus on something else. There are, and like we said, this is this whole point behind collaboration. It's funny, right? The looking at all the stuff you're doing. So for those who don't know, and you might not, in 2017, I went and flew for the America's Cup in Bermuda,
Wow.
and did the so it was the first ever live sports broadcast from a heavy lift drone. And we did it in Bermuda, and it was incredible because I wish, and the point of the story, I suppose, I wish that we'd had the FPV drones that we've got now, particularly the heavy lift stuff, because we were flying a free fly Alta 8 at 25 kilos with a production camera underneath it, and I was flying on the back of a kind of catamaran that had, I think they were 400 horsepower engines. Like
Wow.
this thing was insane because
Yeah.
the America's Cup boats, for anyone who's never seen it, like these America's Cup boats in a
They're
15,
quick.
20 knot wind, they can do
Yeah.
50,
Yeah.
55, 52 knots, I think, flat out. So we had to be able to chase them down the course, and this is I mean, not billion, but there's hundreds of millions on the line for these companies and countries and teams. Yeah, and that was insane because we were, first time ever maritime ops, kind of bobbling
Yeah.
around on the back of a boat. I was harnessed into the front of the boat, so I would clip out of the harness, run around the side. We'd launch the drone, put it in the hover next to the boat. I'd run round to the front, clip in, and then we'd have to fly the drone in full manual because if you put it in, and this is one of the things we discovered right on the first test day. If you put it in GPS in any way, shape, or form, you would end up more than 500 meters away from the start point
Yeah.
in seconds because you're
Oh
doing
God.
40
Yeah.
knots, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden, then it wouldn't go anywhere, and it was like, oh no, and then it would eventually try and then it go, oh no, and the free fly software at the time would be like, oh, I'm going to return home now, so it would go woof and it'd go upwards and then it'd zip off to home and you're like, no. So yeah, so I'd be clipped into the front, on comms with production, on comms with the boat kind of
Yeah.
pilot, and like ging, 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 bouncing along, chasing these boats with this massive drone. It was so, like, looking back now, you think that was crazy. It was such high risk, and I mean, great fun, and
Mm.
yeah, 10 10 hours of being out on the water for a total of 10 minutes throughout the day of absolute sheer terror, because you
Oh
don't
my
want to
word.
damage these boats. And the producer's constantly going, get closer, get closer, get in front of them, get closer. You're like, "Ah!" Yeah, I just wish we'd had the tech we've got nowadays. But yeah, we pulled it off and we did it safely. But yeah, it was interesting times.
It reminds me of a story actually. I did a bit of live TV for BBC in this morning, and one of the shoots, it was over at the Eden Centre, and it was the Commonwealth Games, and they're delivering the torch. And just like you about talking about producers actually, and so I was using the Inspire back then, and we had the Inspire set up. The only instruction I was given was to get a wide shot of this. I think it's Denise Lewis going down this zip wire all the way down to the bottom. And so I was like, in position, happy days. It's going to be a nice pan, job done, and then we'll go on to the next shot. And then the producer said, actually, we've changed our mind. Can you follow Denise Lewis all the way down?
Love it.
And I said, oh,
Typical.
by the way, it's you go about and just hear it in your ear. We're live on the drone in 5. And I had to come up with, I couldn't obviously follow her all the way down. It would just look like it's such a mess. So I came up and just almost semi-autonomous mode, just came up with a shot that they really liked. But I see what you mean, like the pressure. And it's great to be under that sort of pressure sometimes because it really does bring the best out of you, hopefully. Um, yeah, yeah, live TV is a different game altogether.
Yeah.
It's a real thrill when you're live. And it's a fantastic experience.
Like I say, yeah, 10 for us, 10 hours of boredom and then 10 minutes of sheer terror was the only way I can describe it. It was terrifying, but
Yeah,
like I say, pulled it off. And the other thing is, like when you work, I always found when you're working with live production, by its very nature, you don't know where it's going to go or how it's going to head, and I think you have to get to a level of competence that's beyond being just competent to be able to handle those changes and handle them safely.
yeah,
Because yeah, we had a plan for on the first day of filming what we were going to do with that drone, and the shots we were going to deliver. Literally, the first time we took the drone off, and like you say, for us they didn't call when we couldn't hear the gallery when they were coming to the drone. We just got the red telly light, it's called. So
yeah.
for those who don't know, so we just got a red light on top of the controller,
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh,
and
oh.
it's like we're on drone.
Yeah.
Oh god! But it was literally, get closer, be faster, go in front of them, get alongside them, go lower, try and go underneath, and you're like, oh my god, I can't. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think my skills, certainly my finesse skills in certainly panning and on the small wheels on the control, I think they've improved enormously since doing all of this live TV. It's really helped. And I would say to your viewers, like if you want to put yourself under that sort of pressure, it's not necessarily being part of the BBC or anything. You can do that live link to Facebook or YouTube or set that side up and then practice and seeing if you can get a really good smooth live feed of a certain subject that you would like to concentrate on. And it'd be great for practice doing that because it's a one take. You've got no second chance. So yeah, that might be a way that people can practice and try to feel sort of the pressure that I think really does help.
yeah, and get a bit more comfortable with it, right? I think the big things from this then, like for me, it's that whole there's no such thing as luck. It's about getting yourself in the right place. So for you, it was, you've got that background, you've got the skills evidently, but you actually put yourself out there. And if you hadn't done that, those other opportunities wouldn't come along. So if you are thinking about it, or if you're wondering, how do I get this work? How do other people seem to be getting these lucky breaks? There is no such thing as luck, guys. You have to get
Absolutely.
out there and do it.
Absolutely.
And then the other piece is be deliberate. So whether that's in your learning, whether that's in your practice, whether that's in your outreach to other people, if you're going to sit and spend a weekend watching YouTube, go and watch 100 different show reels for drone companies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Think, right, which 10 shots are my favorite shots out of, I'm going to take one from here, one from here, one from here, one from here. Storyboard out your own show reel and then deliberately go out and take those 10 shots that you've got in your eye and you've now written down. Think about where you can get them, what time of day, how you get there, all that sort of stuff, and go and get those shots and then edit them. Because if you're not bringing the work in, spend that time, effort, and energy practicing,
Yeah.
and at some point, I promise you, at some point, someone will see what you're doing, or they'll ask a question that you can give them a business card to, like you did when you're on that tugboat, that can lead to something potentially incredible. But you've got to be putting your name in the frame and putting your face out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when the first device I think their name was Icopter.
Okay.
Remember back then?
Yeah.
Way
Oh
back in
yeah.
2019, videos, and he used to give certain tips on frame rate or whatever and stuff like that. Then he used to do a video, and he would analyze a video afterwards, and what he liked and what they could improve. Just what you're saying then, it's about it is just about, like you say, trying opening your mind to new styles that you might not have thought of. There's so many different styles with so many different types of production. Yeah, it's just came to mind that I
That's
haven't
it.
seen his stuff for ages.
Yeah, iCopter, that's right. Because I think he was an actor, and I think he ended up landing some roles, and yeah, I think anyway, it was a long time ago now, right? But
Yeah, shout
yeah,
him if he is listening.
yeah, shout out to iCopter. Um, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so no, it's really interesting, mate. Well, listen, thank you ever so much for joining us today. The
Hey,
the journey you've been on and the way you've managed to build a team, and like all of these fundamental building blocks that like I say, I've pushed so hard to people, and I think people hear these things that I talk about and they listen to me when I'm coaching, if they do one-on-one with me, and they watch the YouTube videos and go, "Oh yeah, it's all well and good saying X, Y, and Z," but actually, your story, and I didn't, you and I deliberately, I don't discuss the story before
yeah.
we do these episodes. We just have a little meeting to make sure it's everything's technically set up.
Mm,
Um, is exactly textbook, like the building blocks that I try and take people through. So it's really powerful, I think. Like I say, for anyone listening, to just just get out there and do it. Be deliberate, practice, and yeah, you can get there.
yeah, couldn't agree more. And and enjoy the journey. It's fun flying. It's fun doing this side of stuff. And as long as you enjoy it, things will come from it because you'll learn.
Amazing. Well, mate, listen, like I say, thank you ever so much for your time. It's Oli Dickinson from Different View, differentview.co.uk. I will drop Ollie's details down in the show notes if you are listening on Spotify, in the video description if you are watching on YouTube. Please don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, spread the news if you found this episode or other episodes useful. And I look forward to catching you in the next episode. But for now, I'm Matt Williams. This has been the Drone Business Show. Fly safe and blue skies.